finally, we're gonna lay down and take bridge pose. So lie down onto your back, soles of the feet to your yoga mat. Take your hands and brush so that you can just barely touch your heels or almost touch your heels. Some of you might have a really deep flexion ability in the knees and the heels can easily come in closer. Don't overly shorten your pose here. Just barely reach towards those heels. Okay, and then back of the head, shoulders flat down on the mat. We've always got our feet flat down on the mat. And let's just give it a go. We do bridge pose most classes, so we'll find it here. Lift up. Hold on to the edges of your yoga mat if your shoulders feel best there. A little bit more room and space in the body. Interlace the hands underneath you. And then you kind of roll to one side, tuck the shoulder in, roll to the other side, tuck the shoulder in. Give it like 20% more push down into your feet and see if that can rebound the hips, thighs, butt a little higher up. The higher you lift, keep squeezing the glutes. Slight little tuck of the chin so that your eye gaze, I'm hoping, is watching the fullness of your breath rise and fall in the belly. Good stuff there. If you feel pain in your knees when you do bridge pose, ever so slightly, take a wider stance. Still pain, ever so slightly, turn your toes out a little bit. Like, why not? If it brings pain differently, you have to keep finding and changing. Be that best teacher and advocate for yourself. Lower it down. And just take pause. There's always a little something magic extra for me at the bottom half of this bridge pose. Just take pause. Then we're going to try it again. Exact same setup. Hands brush close to the heels. If that taught you that you need your feet a tiny bit wider, even toes a little turned out, go ahead. And then lift up. Hands together, slide the shoulders in. Okay, stay and work here. More challenge. Pull the right knee into the chest. Stretch the foot straight up to the sky. Can you imagine that you had both feet there and you were having to squeeze that yoga block like we did at the beginning right into your midline? That's going to help you out. And then bend the knee again and set the foot down and go into the second side. Knee into the chest. Push it up. Knee into the chest and set the foot down. Release the hands, lower the hips. Give it that little momentary pause. Kind of slide the shoulders back out. I'm going to give you one more bridge pose option. The first two are open to you to try again. This third option builds on the first. So we've all got to start there. Brush against those heels again. Make sure you've got your good alignment and space. We'll call this one building bridge pose. It goes to straighter legs. So first, you find your bent knee position. Lift your hips up. Same hands, interlace. Roll the shoulders a little more up and in. Keep looking straight up to the sky. So head, neck, shoulders, stay happy with us. Okay, for building bridge, you're literally just crawling your feet further out towards the top edge of your mat, making the legs straighter as you go, but not letting the hips fall down. The legs do not have to go all the way straight. You could even heel toe the feet closer together. I usually end up with feet together, but knees still a little bit apart, just what works best. Play with it. And then you have to pull back into more of the bent knee position. We're all back to where we started. Release the hands and lower the hips down. Goodness, pull the knees into your chest. Take the arms out to a T shape and let both legs fall over towards the right side in a supine twist. I think it's the intensity of the muscles having to fire in bridge pose that always makes this supine twist a little more accessible for me after the fact. Muscles are still ready to fully hug in both sides of the sacrum and give you support as you move into the twist. Let's go to the second side. Those hip flexors get to calm down here. And then bring it back into the center. Slowly bring yourself back to a seated position. I should say more like carefully. So I'm going to set us up for a bit of a restorative pose just using your one yoga block. If now is the time you're thinking, I didn't grab that block, but I've got a blanket or bolster, something like that nearby, you could use that as well. It's going to be really simple though. We've done a little bit of this lengthening and stretch through the front side of the body, ending with good amount of opening in the chest, and so I just want to keep exaggerating that for this last portion. I'm going to set the block on the very base, lowest height. And I find tips of the shoulder blades, typically if you wear a bra, right where it hits. And like you're trying to arch over the block. It might be a little much. And it is for me, and so I just use the hands behind the head to give a little bit of support. You could also, if you happen to have, again, a blanket nearby, just slide that underneath like a pillow. For some of you, it might be just head is back is fine. And then extend the legs out. And if you're thinking, you had me until I extended the legs, don't extend the legs. Keep the soles of the feet flat on the mat. If you are using the blanket instead of a block to start with, you're just rolling it up, kind of like a Tootsie Roll, and arching over that same point, upper back. Try it out, give it a minute or two in your position, and then you could choose to stay longer. Or I'll mention when a good time would be to release for a different Shavasana. I started a little personal meditation challenge April 1st, and I've been meditating a little bit each day. When I notice I'm particularly agitated, I'll put myself into a restorative position like this that takes just a little bit of work to keep the mind focused and attentive, and try the meditation from there. If you've started around the time I did, it's 2 minutes. Feel free to stay there longer or to adjust to your final Shavasana, final resting position, be it lying down or seated.